Okay, ladies, I think a toast is due. Welcome.
Yes.
You found a Maggie here.
Yes.
Here's to the Hue Crew and
Cheers.
Maggie. Cheers, cheers, cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you. Well, so good to have you here, Maggie.
Thanks for having me.
I know, and then I've got Margot and I've got Francine. And
Hi.
ladies,
Hello.
I have to say, what do you think of the new show home, Foxridge Show Home? You know, details
Beautiful.
make the difference,
Yeah,
but
it's
yes.
gorgeous.
So we have a hot fire behind you, Maggie, and
Nice.
yes, just to keep you warm. Francine, I guess you're a...
I'm warm enough. I'll be okay. I'll be okay.
Aw. Well, I guess the main reason why I wanted Maggie to be on this show is because not only are you an amazing woman, but you do have a story that I think really needs to be shared. We had your sister on, Melinda. I mean, Francine was
Yeah,
in
I
on that
remember Melinda,
conversation.
yeah.
You know, talked a lot about your family and everything that they've done. But I really wanted your story to be able to share it with people, Maggie. So to fill in Margot, this lovely lady is sisters to Melinda Lee. And she just has, I know, such a great spirit, Margot. We've seen and met so many wonderful ladies on our Hue Crew, and this one is pretty special. So, Maggie, you know what? Yeah. Okay.
Really?
Yeah, really? Yeah. You might want a sip of wine before, but I don't know where to begin, or where can we begin? The story of Maggie.
Ask away.
All right? So take us back onto when you were a little girl.
Well, I guess I'm here to tell you about this disease I have. It's called von Hippel-Lindau, and I guess I was first diagnosed or first found out about it when I was about 9 years old. I had eye problems, and they sent me to see an eye specialist in Miami, and my dad had to take me down there, and it was quite a crazy time because actually Melinda was just born, and my mom had a newborn at home, and my dad and I had to take off to Florida to go see this eye specialist.
Wow, and that must have been so scary back then. So
I was just a little kid.
I know. So then, going forward, then what happened?
Well, for the next 20 years, I would have to go to many doctors, and I was able to see an eye specialist, ophthalmologist here in Winnipeg, who followed my progress for several years in consultation with the doctors in Miami, and I would have laser treatments every couple months and everything. So when I was a little kid, it seems like I missed a lot of school. I know the medical system well because I've been to so many doctors.
So I guess tell us a little bit about the disease itself and what it
Well,
does.
von Hippel-Lindau, it's a rare genetic disorder which is characterized by the formation of tumors and cysts, and it can affect eyes, brain, hearing, and also the pancreas and kidneys, and a few more other things. But I have a few of them. I've had, obviously problems with my eyes. So when I was first diagnosed, I only had these tumors in my eyes, but I didn't lose my sight until 19 years ago.
Wow.
And then, but in between there, I've had several brain tumors.
Amazing. And she has a family. You've got a beautiful son. Well, he's 20
Well, he's
now.
20 now. But it's funny, when he was born, or when I was pregnant, I had a normal pregnancy, and everything was good health-wise and everything. So we proceeded with me getting pregnant, and we had him. But just before he was born, I was told I had another brain tumor. So I was called by the doctor, or one of the doctors, telling me that they were going to have to deliver the baby early.
Oh.
Oh no, actually, I was told I was going to have to go have brain surgery, and I said, "Oh, thank goodness, I'm so close to my due date, you know, and
Just stop reading my brain.
Yeah, maybe I can fit, you know, maybe we can do this." My son was born in my due date was September. I said, "Well, maybe we can do it in October," and so the doctor said to me on the phone, "Well, actually, we're going to do it, you know, in 2 weeks," and I'm like, "But I haven't had the baby yet," and
Yeah.
well, that's when it hit me. You know, all of a sudden it's just like, oh, they're gonna go in early.
Wow.
You know, so when I was to give birth or just to have the C-section, is scheduled for August 26th, and it's funny, you don't you go in for pre-admission in the morning, and this was at HSC, and I remember sitting in the waiting area with a bunch of other patients, and you're in my big belly and everything, and you know, it's like talk in the waiting room. "So what are you here for?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm hired to have a baby," and they're like, "Well,
really?"
Yeah." Well, first of all, everyone looked at me and they said, "I think you're in the wrong hospital," because I was in HSE in the general part, not. And they go, "Shouldn't you be in women's?" And I said, "Well, actually, I'm here for another thing too. So I'm gonna have brain surgery first, and then they're gonna then the baby.
Even the order
But all
of
the
you-
same surgery."
Yeah, even the order of you telling that story certainly is a testament to the type of person you are, that like your child was what came first in that instance, and you weren't like telling everyone about this big brain surgery that you were having, right? So it's like you kept what was most important to you at the time kind of at the forefront of your mind. Was that something that was helpful in dealing with?
I think so, definitely. You know, the focus for me was to have a healthy baby.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and you know, I guess I didn't understand or you know think of the severity of it.
Yeah.
Sure.
My husband tells me now. Well, you know, he thought he could have lost me that day. You know, I remember him saying to me, "I don't want to be raising this baby by myself."
Well, and okay, so I want to know now. I've never really had the chance to ask you about the rest of your family. Your husband, I mean, they have you have a beautiful life, but I mean, it's so hard on the loved ones too, and everything that you've gone through.
Well, definitely. I know I'm the one who has to go through the surgeries and everything, but it's the ones who, you know, my support system, my family, my husband, my son, my parents, my sisters, you know, they're a strong support for me. They're the, you know, who have to watch me, and it's hard on them, I know.
Yes, but I mean, look at where you are today. And I want to talk now a little bit about your grandmother, and then, you know, the whole kind of history of this through your family.
Well, there's one Linda. I feel so bad for my grandmother, who is 99, by the way. You know, this has been really hard on her. This dreaded disease, actually, it's a genetic disorder, but it wasn't passed down by my grandmother. It was on my grandfather's side. So she has had to see a lot. And you know what? She is a very strong woman. She has lost first of all, she lost her husband to this disease. And my grandmother has lost 3 of her kids to this von Hippel-Lindau, and my mom has it also.
And you have another sister too, as well.
And my other sister in where does she live? In Toronto. Sorry, thank you. About 15 years ago, she had to have back surgery, and because like I said, von Hippel, it affects brain and eyes, but the back is closely linked to that too.
Yes.
So the
Spinal,
tumors,
like spinal
Yes.
and stuff. Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
Well, and yet, once you have kids, and is your son okay?
Well, we talk about how it's impacted so many members of my family. Well, I mentioned my mom and my sister, but my son had to have brain surgery 3 years ago. And I tell you, as a parent, as a mother, it's nothing, more painful than watching your child go through something like this. So I couldn't even imagine what it has done to my grandmother.
Your grandma, such a strong
I
woman.
guess my mom too.
Yeah. But moving on though, you, we'll get the girls in this conversation too, just about, I guess, day-to-day life. and how you go through it, how you navigate, Maggie. And, are we as other citizens and as a city and as a whole being more aware of, people with, disabilities and making it more accessible for you?
Well, you know what? Having lost my sight 19 years ago, made me really realize, how this world is really meant for the sighted. It's something we really take for granted. And it wasn't until I lost my sight, even on a day-to-day basis, it makes me, realize, if I could do things different, I would do this different or whatever. Or how come they couldn't, this place of business couldn't do this? But it's not all about me.
So, sorry to ask a question. How old were you when you lost your sight?
My son was 12 months old, so, oh God.
Okay.
I was 31.
Okay, so you had 31 years to see, to learn all of the, life for the seeing. Okay.
You know what?
So you were able to relate.
Definitely. You know what? I often wonder, if it would have been easier to never have seen it before at all, or do what I, go through what I did. Because I tell you, when I lost my sight, it hit me hard. It was hard to adjust. For sure. There's so many things I missed. And actually, for me, being a new mom, it was hard to just I was very resentful, even of the fact of not being able to, quote, see my son grow up.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
Resentment. Yeah.
when you said, resentment, do you find, though, through life, as you see it now, as you go through life now?
No pun intended.
No, I know. But other senses pick up other things, or do you find satisfaction in other things now?
Definitely, I think.
Because you're so positive. How easy could this have turned into a negative?
The energy is very positive.
But what choice was I given? I had a baby at home. His diaper still needed to be changed.
Right.
He needed to be fed. Laundry needed to be done. Life doesn't stop because our life, just a wrench is thrown into life.
Yeah. But then, and then I guess, what does the future hold? What do you want to really see done now? This is a pretty powerful story. I can't imagine it. And and you're living it, but you seem to be such a big advocate.
Well, I think I'm one of those people who think it's very important to give back. And I want to just bring awareness to people who are blind or with disabilities. It's not, just because I can't see that there's so many more things I can still do.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes, she can be on the Hue Crew, right?
Well, I don't feel like I'm any different than you or
Right. And you're not.
I'm still me.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm going to interject for 1 second because she's an advocate now. So I'll get her to tell you about it, but she has been on many boards and committees to help the greater community. So I'll let her talk about it though.
And that's, your little sister Melinda, putting in her 2 cents. She really is.
Well, she's my little sister, but she's a great supporter of me. She's one of my biggest fans, and I really appreciate her.
Well, she always will be and continues to be. So tell us a little bit more on what you're working on.
Well, I do a lot of volunteering, and I'm on the board of the CNIB, the national board. So, I think it's important for, talk about giving back to the community, but it's bringing awareness to everybody. I'm on the national board, but everyone needs to know that people who can't see or people with disabilities can do
so many
anything.
Things.
Yeah, so many things. And also, I was on a committee through the city. It was called an Access Advisory Committee, and it's just to help everybody else, from wheelchairs to vision loss isn't the only disability. There's hearing, there's cognitive, mobility, everything. So it just, everything's important, and they worked hard with the Rick Hansen Foundation.
Oh, okay.
So,
yes.
So I mean, you know what? I think he's a strong champion of rights for the disabled.
Yes, no, he definitely is. And I think we've come a long way in tech, though, right? Haven't we,
Yeah,
Margot?
certainly. And you know what? There's even like a call to action right away that we can give to businesses, any business, when it comes to their website and their tech and things like that, is to try and like add that accessibility piece to it. Like, so there are screen readers and things like that. Maybe you use one, Maggie, but like apps that can read, different sites to you and things like that.
Well, thank goodness for my iPhone.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
But if we
Yeah, for sure.
if we forget to put in, for example, like that thing called alt text, if people forget to enter that in, so when you're adding an image even on social media, or on your website, there's a box for alt text, and that's where you put like, we are 4 women sitting on a couch in a home.
It will describe it to us.
But if you don't do that, it won't describe it. And so it's very, very simple, but people don't do that. Yeah, so there's these little things around accessibility that screen readers can help to have that accessibility piece for those with vision impairments. And so those little things that I think like CNMB puts out information about that, but tech organizations can help with that too. And just basic
good to
Google
know.
search and you'll find, there's really simple things that businesses can do tomorrow.
Wow. Okay.
Definitely.
So we'll get up on that.
Yeah.
So we got some 4 women talking on a couch. Yeah. Great. Great. I know.
And they're color coordinated.
And they're color coordinated. Yes. I know.
As specific as you want.
And then I guess a lot of people that have helped you, doctors, how many doctors have you seen?
I tell everybody, this is a big joke, I tell everyone I've had more doctors than I've had boyfriends. But I don't know what that means exactly, but
As long as it's not husbands, then it's okay.
you know what, if I may, I'd love to give a shout out to my doctors. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my neurosurgeon. And every time my surgery a couple of months ago, it was his last surgery because he just retired.
Oh no.
Dr. Michael West and Dr. Cheryl Rockman Greenberg. She's a geneticist, and she's the one who has helped identify von Hippel-Lindau in my family. And actually, she helped me get Philip tested and everything. Philip is my son.
Yes. Oh my
And and she coordinates all my appointments to make sure I see the right doctors, and she wants to make sure I'm taken care of. It's because it's not only the brain that has affected me, but I've had to see so many other specialists, and she makes sure I'm taken care of.
Taking care of all that information.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
How many operations have you had, Maggie?
I've had 9 brain surgeries
Oh my.
and 4 eye surgeries.
That's,
Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
C-section.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's an important one.
I call that a 2-for.
yeah.
2-for, yeah.
I'm always curious. So one of your very first stories you told us today was about going down to the States, to Miami, to have some tests done. We have such a great healthcare system here, and you mentioned like the many great doctors and surgeries you've had. When is it that we're being advised to go to the U.S. and are those at our expense? And like, throughout your medical history, like, has that been really common to have to go down to the U.S.?
When I was 9, I guess, remember, that was a little while ago.
Sure.
That was about 40 years ago. So since this is a rare genetic disorder, it was like new to, like nobody in Winnipeg knew about it really. So that's why I had to go down there. Times, 40 years later, we have a wealth of knowledge of up here in Winnipeg and in Canada now, and the amazing medical system, like the doctors and researchers that we have here, they know lots.
Right.
But I wonder, it's, I guess, anything, right? The Mayo Clinic, or
Right.
to find answers, you do the research, and you're right. This is like now with the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's too much information on there, maybe.
Dr. Google, right?
Yeah, Dr. Google.
No, you asked about expenses. I mean, back then it was like at our expense.
Right.
My parents had to oversee that to go down. Get us down there and everything. When I first lost my sight, I had gone down to Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore, and well, that was at our expense too. So, you know, when I first experienced this, went through the blindness, you know, it would do anything just to get a little bit back, and so it was a risk, but we took it.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when you said that you had 4 eye surgeries, is that in the hopes that you can get more back? Is that?
Well, the first, you see, how I lost my sight. The 20 years of laser treatments I had, it kind of controlled it, and I had lost the sight in my right eye. Like when I was a teenager, but I always had my left eye, and so, you know, I functioned normally. You know, I did everything normally. I drove and whatever. But when I was right after my son was born, that's when the sight. I lost the sight in my left eye, and I forgot what you just asked.
No, I just asked
the wine
the surgeries that you had. No, if it was to see if they can, you know, get some of your sight back, or.
So that first surgery, through the years and years of laser treatment, I guess it had caused some scar tissue in my eye, in my left eye. And what had ended up happening was my retina had detached. And it is described to me as like the retina as an onion skin, so it's very thin. So the best shot of me to get my sight back was that first surgery. And you know, because of all the scar tissue, after that surgery, it lasted for me, I'd say, a couple of weeks, and then it had detached again. And so I had 2 more surgeries. 2 surgeries up here in Winnipeg, and unfortunately it didn't work. And then the final surgery was down in Baltimore. And that's kind of like the nail on the coffin, I guess. When I was told there was nothing else they can do for me.
Wow.
Sorry, I get all choked up. I haven't talked about this much since.
And just one last question too. You said that right after your son was born, then you lost the sight in your left eye. Did you get a chance to see him?
I saw him for 12 months.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So at least you have that, you know, memory that you could imagine.
Yeah, you know what is you say at least I got to see him. That part, you know, that was the part that made me the saddest when I first lost my sight. I know what my son, my husband looks like, my family, my parents.
Because they don't change really.
And, you know, Tracy, I know what you look like from your back. So in my eyes, you haven't aged at all.
She hasn't, by the way.
I look 20, same thing.
I think I said this to you the first time I met you. I knew you looked like a little ballerina. She's gorgeous,
Yes,
I hear,
absolutely,
right?
yeah, to this day.
No, I can't, I mean, yes, and all I can say, and I keep on saying it, is just your beauty, inner beauty and outer beauty, Maggie. I mean, it's an inspiration. And I mean, I think maybe it's helped you too to tell your story, which hasn't probably been told, you know, for a long time, like you said, because you've been around family, you've been around all the caretakers.
Well, they don't know my story.
They don't know your story, your real story. I think, you know, in wrapping things up, I mean, obviously there's a website, thehl.org.
Yes.
That you can go to, but if there's, you know, something that you can share with our listeners and to our viewers and to the, you know, the people out there about this disease, and, you know, what were some of the signs, or, you know, or where can they go, and what are the questions that they can ask?
Well, I don't know. I think just in general, you know, people, if you're not feeling right or you know something's not right, go see your doctor. No, I mean, truly, I know everyone says that, but, you know, this is a rare genetic disorder, and it seems like there's a lot of things out there. I mean, look at people with cancer and all these other health issues.
Yeah, so I think it's just knowledge, and then also knowing about your family background too, right?
For sure.
Definitely, yeah.
In case of the VHL is definite, right?
Definitely.
Yes. Well, I think we're going to raise our glasses
Aw, thanks.
one more time.
Thank you.
Again for the show.
Thank
you.
Cheers.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank
much,
you for
Maggie.
sharing.
Thank you to Foxridge Homes, and
Thanks,
special thank you to
Foxridge.
Poppy.
Thank you.
Yay.
Beautiful.
All right.